Uh, Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are across this great wide world. A couple of my colleagues reached out to me and asked if I would do a video concerning my reactions on what's going on with lately with the issues concerning. Uh, we had the invasion of Nicaragua, and earlier in the year, we had the issues with um, uh, yeah, what I call the fracking up in Canada in the XL pipeline, etc. And a friend of mine, a couple of friends of mine, asked me to if I would reach out and do a video about this, what's going on, and the issue here is. Um when you hear somebody say, "We want the oil," or "We're going to get the oil," this has been part of the operation mode since last last October, November, after Trump got elected. And the issue is not necessarily if it's right or wrong, but the issue becomes there's a set of, when we talk about Alberta, Canada, and that he was wanting the oil XL pipeline and get that up and running again. And that kind of just fizzled away. And I really, honestly, and deep in my heart, I thought, that something would happen out of that. But that kind of fizzled out a little bit. And I'm not saying that it's completely out of there, but the issue becomes um, necessarily, and excuse me about yawning there, becomes the issue on the viability. In other words, Uh, for instance, there's two types of oil. There's conventional and unconventional oil. And here in the United States, we reached peaked our production in or like 1972, 1973 in oil. And the use of oil at that point is, kind of is conventional oil. When, in other words, we go vertically down, pump the oil and all that, and bring it to the surface. The issue becomes now unconventional, which is the fracking oil, where we drill down and then horizontally go out and put water or a solution into to frack the oil out, its chemicals and that. Big scary concern of mine on that is just if something really bad happens, this can definitely, especially in certain areas of west of the 100 meridian point, I should say, and gets into an underground water field, then the issue becomes pollution and contaminated water. The issue here is, and we've kind of lost focus on this, and though we were talking about this, is that there's only so much oil for the whole world, and this whole issue with Nicaragua and some of the other issues. Um, it boils down to minerals and mineral rights. And the issue for me about this is if we're looking at minerals, I'm not a big component of what Elon's saying about getting minerals out of Nicaragua and some of the other countries like Greenland. They're saying there's mineral rights, and that's one reason the Trump administration is pushing it. Is on the minerals. The issue is if we're really that, you know, uh, uh, gung ho, or we should look at getting minerals out of asteroids, the moon, and etc., instead of creating more environmental hazard. I'm not saying that the environmental hazards are going to occur on the moon and asteroids, but there's only so much we can do on this earth. And the issue for me that's concerning about all this is I granted that, the oil, we need the oil, but the issue comes back to renewable energies, and that's, solar, wind, and I believe these are going to be the alternatives. The issue is that we have basically from 2016 to present really have not done. We've done some things were being done under the Biden administration, but all that was wiped out. But then we had Trump, Biden, Trump, and prior to that we had Obama, and Obama was doing some things. And then Trump rescinded everything. Then Biden got in, rescinded everything Trump was doing, and then coincided Trump rescinded or signed into law this whole issue on oil. And the issue, like I said, to me is that we've come to the point where we reach peak production, and we're really, when we're talking about unconventional oil, we're at that point where we can only get so much. And then this whole issue with Nicaragua and their oil, and then hearing people about this. I'm an expert on studying this stuff, but the issue is, what I've been hearing by pundits and scholars about this, and hearing people, is that granted, I think the oil is an important issue, but the issue becomes in Nicaragua, the infrastructure doesn't exist. And the issue, like I said when we were talking before about XL pipeline, the XL pipeline was being there, but that between the Obama administration and the Biden administration, that project came to a halt. And now the interest in that was sold to South Bow because of the fact the company before South Bow, and their name escapes me right offhand, which was a company out of Canada, lost a lot of money. Same coincides with Nicaragua when we talk about Citigo and then Chevron or even Exxon go in there. And, the first issue is this is a more of a my understanding, what I understand about the oil is that it's more of a hard oil that you would use more like in paving and, for tarring and all that. So it's really heavy oil. So the refinery would have to be all upgraded. Granted, I'm sure that what they're doing is they are getting oil out, but the issue to me concerns, even if, you know, they, here in Trump, we want the oil, the infrastructure is limited and is below par. So the issue becomes that what we need to do is upgrade the infrastructure in Nicaragua, but that's a sovereign nation, and that's really up to the people, and not necessarily up to the United States for that. There again goes back to the issue that here we go, we had this issue with the Iraq-Iran war, when we had the issue with the oil, when Aaron thought we were going to get the oil, and it's part of the what I call Colin Powell doctrine. You you break it, you own it. In other words, we start going into these countries and getting their minerals, we own it, and then the issue becomes we as citizens need to really address the issue of not necessarily looking at a need that may last for 15, 20 years, 30 years. At that point, like I said, I'll be dead, but it'll be my children and grandchildren that will have to do the issues with our discretions concerning oil. So that's why I'm more in favor of renewable energies in coming up with a solution, because I believe one time that Bush 43 said, we're addicted to oil, and the issue becomes we need to come up with a structure that gets us away from oil and into the issue and going to the issue of renewable energy is the best solution. and not necessarily just taking over countries or taking over mineral rights. And like I said, Elon, if he's big on my understanding on mineral rights, he can become Rocket Man too, and to get his rockets up into space and develop, go to the moon, and also other words. But then there again, the issue becomes the environmental impact that it's going to have on our solar system. So that has to be taken into consideration as well. So anyway, these are some food for thoughts. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm also creating another channel too. I'm going to get back to this. I just finished a certificate in law and environmental energy law. So please reach out to me for any questions on my B underscore Miller 64 at tamu.edu. Anyway, folks, hope to talk to you real soon. Have a great day. Bye.